This is actually the second one of these knobs that I made. The first one is a gear shift knob on a truck, and it's already on there. But when I went to go edit the video, the file for when I tied the knot on this was corrupted, so I don't actually have any video of that I can access. So I'm going to go ahead and make another one here and retie the knot and show how it's tied, because that's kind of the point of this whole video. But the knob is pretty much just turned out of wood on a wood lathe. And then turned down to where a copper pipe cap fits onto it. This one's 3/4. The other one knob that I made was a 1-inch pipe cap. This one's walnut and the other one was just cedar. Eastern cedar, a little bit harder cedar. But anyway, then I've got some almost 1/2-inch lace. And it's a piece that's just a leftover from making other handles. It's about 4 feet long. And I'm going to use that to tie a Gaucho knot, a single pass Gaucho knot around this knob. Just like I did on the other one that I just finished and put on the truck. And I like single pass Gaucho knots because they're actually pretty simple to tie, and they look like they'd be very complex. But they're just kind of weaving, sort of like basket weaving. Alright, I don't know how many takes I've had on this knot. The first one I tied, which the camera did not actually record, turned out great. But after that, everything seems to be going wrong. Anyway, a Gaucho knot, a single pass Gaucho knot in this case, is tied basically by, you start with, you're standing in, I'm going to start with it down here on the copper ferrule. You wrap up onto the other side of the top of the knob, and back down and cross over where you started. Then it's going to turn and follow right next to it, up to the top where it crosses over, and turns and follows right down next to it again. Then you're going to start weaving it through. And we're going to start by going under or standing in and over the second wrap. We want to neaten that up a little bit. Might come back to haunt us later. But then it's going to cross over that second wrap, do its little turn thing, and go up. And we get up onto the top side, and we're going to encounter the same situation. We've got under this first wrap and over the second. And then it's going to cross over that second one. It's going to turn, it's going to go down following right next to the second one and become our third loop. Which now we've got 3 of them down here. We're going to go over this one, under that one, over this one. And you can tell what you're supposed to do because when that second strand's coming through there, this strand goes over it, this strand goes under it. So the one that goes over, we need to go over. The one that goes under, we need to go under. Kind of just like basket weaving. And the same here. We need to go over, under, over. and cross over the top, follow right next to that strand on the way back down. Now we need to go under, over, under, over. And these are always going to end with over the last strand, which was the strand that you most recently wrapped around. Keep our strands pushed up so they don't wander too far. And the same here, we've got 4 strands, so we need to go under, over, under, over. We've got our lace straight. And it just kind of repeats. You get to the top, you cross over that top strand, you turn, you follow it, going back down to the bottom. You weave through, going over the strands that are over and under the strands that are under the previous strand. Sometimes you get a loop thrown in there just to annoy you, because the lace likes to do that sometimes. Getting close to where our standing end is hanging out. Loop over that, turn and follow next to it. There you go. Over, under, over, under, over now. Another loop again. And we want to be careful not to lose some of these strands through here. If those get hidden, we're going to get all out of whack and out of line, and we're not going to know where we're supposed to be. Over, wrap around, follow that strand, and again. Under, over, under, over, under, over. This is that strand I was just talking about not losing, right there. Now, we're back to where we started, so that is officially the full knot, but I've got these big gaps here. And I'm just going to go back and see if I can push everything back down and into place a little bit to fill in those gaps and even everything out some. And we'll get rid of some of our big massive bumps that we have in this knot while we're doing it. And this is just referred to as dressing the knot. Now you can continue to work around on this knot and continue to pull it, make more layers and loops, and just make it bigger and bigger and bigger. But it can get a little confusing sometimes to add to it. And it can get really tricky to know when to stop. So sometimes it's best just to call it and say, okay, that's enough knot to cover what we're doing. And just go back and dress everything up nice and neat. Once we're pretty happy with the way it is, we're going to take our last bit of lace and we're going to go under our standing end. And I'm going to try and hit under another couple strands too. And that'll just lock it all together. We can trim that off. And rather than have it stick up there, it needs to be over underneath where our standing end started. So we'll put it back over under there, kind of poke it under. And again, dress everything up a little bit. And we can also trim off our standing end. And the final step on any of the knots or braiding or anything is to roll it. And for that, it's best to have a good smooth surface. And on these, you can just roll them with your hand. You can move to the edge for rolling those. Try not to scratch up your copper piece or your wood piece on this. But then that makes a rather attractive leather covered handle that looks like it's a diamond braid. But isn't, it's not. And the really neat part about gaucho knots is you can tie basically the same thing, just with more wraps to start with. Instead of just wrapping up to the top and back down to the bottom, you can wrap 1, 2, 3 times and then back and cross over itself 1, 2, 3 times. And you can extend this knot out and make it as long as you want it to be to cover basically anything you want. And you can cover, like a tool handle like this is the same knot. This is just a triple gaucho knot instead of the single gaucho knot.